Your superannuation fund sends you a statement once a year. Most people open it, look at the balance, feel vaguely fine or vaguely worried about that one number, and put it in a drawer. The part almost nobody reads is a few lines further down, and it is the only part that decides how much of your own money the fund keeps every year before you ever see it. On a 40-year working life, that line matters more than almost any investment decision you will ever make. Because a super fund does not charge everybody the same way, it charges everybody the same amounts, which sounds like the same thing and is not remotely the same thing. That distinction is the entire story, and it is the reason two Australians in the identical investment option can pay wildly different rates for identical service. There are 4 levels of balance in this country, and at each one, your fund behaves like a different business. Same product, same investment option, same logo on the letter, same person answering the phone. 4 completely different deals. Let us go through them, using published figures from real Australian funds. First, the structure, because none of the rest makes sense without it. Every super fund in Australia charges you in 3 layers. There is an administration fee, which is usually a flat dollar amount plus a small percentage. There is an investment management fee, and unless you have actively opted out, there are insurance premiums for cover you were signed up to by default and probably never chose. That first layer is where everything happens. A flat dollar fee is the same number whether you have $5,000 or $5 million. It does not scale. And a fee that does not scale is not neutral. It is a fee that costs the smallest accounts the most by an enormous margin and costs the largest accounts almost nothing at all. Hold on to that because everything else follows from it. Level 1. You have $5,000 in super. Your name is Kieran. You are 19, you started your first proper job 8 months ago, and you have never once logged into the account. You are not even certain which fund it is with, because your employer chose it for you and you signed the form without reading it. Take Australia's largest fund as the published example, and note that this is not a criticism of it. Its numbers are public, and by any measure, it is one of the cheaper funds in the country. That is precisely why it makes the point so well. It charges $1 a week plus 0.1% of your balance. That sounds like almost nothing, and at the right balance, it genuinely is almost nothing. $1 a week is $52 a year. On Kieran's $5,000, that flat fee alone is just over 1% of everything he has. Add the percentage component on top, then the investment management fee, and Kieran is paying somewhere well above 1% of everything he owns before insurance has been touched. And there is insurance, because default life and total permanent disability cover is switched on automatically unless you opt out. On a balance that small, those premiums can consume a meaningful share of the entire account every single year. For cover a 19-year-old with no dependents and no debts has almost no use for. This is such a well-known problem that Parliament had to legislate against it. If your balance is under $6,000, your administration and investment fees are capped at 3% of the account. 3%. 3%. That is the legal ceiling that Parliament had to write down, and it exists precisely because without it, the ordinary fee structure would consume a small account faster than contributions could refill it. Think about what a 3% cap actually tells you. It is not really a protection. It is a written admission that the ordinary fee structure, left alone and applied to a small balance, would eat that balance alive. You do not need to legislate a ceiling against something that was not going to happen. Level 2. You have $50,000. Your name is Anna. 31. Works in aged care in Adelaide. Has been in the same fund since she was 22. And has never once changed the default investment option because nobody has ever given her a reason to. At $50,000, a 1% fee costs $500 a year. The typical total for an industry fund, balance default in 2026, sits around 0.85%. The average across all MySuper default options, once you include retail funds and smaller providers, runs between 1 and 1.5%. So Anna is somewhere between $400 and $750 a year, and the flat component has stopped mattering much. $52 on $50,000 is 0.1%. The percentage layer has taken over. This is also the level where the fund starts offering her things. General advice over the phone about her investment option, a retirement calculator, a seminar. None of it costs extra, and none of it is specific to her situation, because none of it is allowed to be. It is general advice, which means it is advice about the product, not about her. Level 3. You have $350,000. Your name is Dev. 48, an engineer in Brisbane, has been salary sacrificing steadily since his mid-30s and checks the balance about once a quarter. And at this level, something quietly flips, because that percentage component is capped. At the fund we have been using, the asset-based administration fee stops at $350 a year. Another of the large funds charges its percentage component on the first $500,000 of your balance only, and nothing beyond that. So Dev has just reached the ceiling. He pays $52 flat, plus $350 capped, which is $402 in administration. As a share of his balance, that is a bit over 1/10 of 1%. He is paying 8 times what Kieran pays in dollars, and roughly 1/10 of what Kieran pays as a rate. Level 4. You have $3 million. Your name is Margaret. 63, sold a small business a few years back, consolidated 4 old accounts into a single one, and has not thought about the fee line since. Margaret pays $52 flat plus $350 capped, $402, exactly the same as Dev to the cent. Not proportionally the same, identically the same dollars, out of a balance 8.5 times larger than his. As a share of what she actually holds, it works out to somewhere around 1/100th of 1%. If her balance doubled tomorrow, the number would not move at all. Now line them up. Kieran pays a bit over 1% in administration. Margaret pays about 1/100th of 1%. That is somewhere near 90 times the rate charged to the person with the least money in the system for administering an account that does less and holds less. And the reason is not greed, and it is not hidden. It is a flat fee plus a capped percentage. Those two design choices, both of which sound entirely reasonable when you hear them described on their own, combine into a structure where the cost, as a share of your balance, falls away almost to nothing at the top and bites hardest at the very bottom, where people have the least capacity to notice or move. The fund is not doing anything wrong. Administering an account genuinely costs about the same regardless of what is in it, and a cap protects large balances from paying enormous percentages for the same service. Both of those arguments are sound, and neither is dishonest. The outcome is still exactly what it is, and the outcome is what compounds over 40 years. Not the intention behind it. So what actually matters at each level? If you are Kieran, the fee percentage is almost beside the point compared to a single question, whether you are carrying default insurance you do not need on a balance that cannot afford to carry it. If you are Anna, the percentage is now the whole game, and the difference between 0.85% and 1.5% on a balance she will hold for another 30 years is a genuinely large number by the time she stops working. If you are Dev or Margaret, the administration fee has stopped being the question entirely, and the investment fee is the only line worth looking at. As of the most recent survey, every single one of the 20 cheapest investment options available in this country is an index option. Not most of them, all 20. So open the statement and skip the balance. Find the line that says what you paid, work out what percentage of your balance that actually is, and compare it against your own level rather than against a headline. Tell me in the comments which of the 4 levels you are on, and whether you have ever actually checked that number.